Hello. Are you an oversharer, a data dumper? Perhaps you're a rambler with a side of rabbit holes? Well, if that's the case, you are invited to join me at my upcoming online workshop, The Goldilocks Effect of Speaking, where you will learn how to say not too little, not too much, but just the right amount to land your message with impact. This is going to be a highly interactive, yes, that means you get your questions answered, 75-minute online workshop where you are going to learn how to remove all of the fluff to speak just to your message, use stories to amplify that message without adding more noise. You'll learn how to recover when you do start heading down a rabbit hole. You'll also learn how to know when too much is too much and perhaps when it's not enough, and also how to be concise but still be personable, conversational, and authentic. It's taking place on the 30th of July from 12:30 to 1:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time, and it costs $67 Australian. The link is in the show notes, and I would love, 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 love to see you there. With that said, welcome. Welcome to another episode of Speaking with Confidence with Kat Matson, the show where I coach business owners, humble leaders, public servants, and other corporate hippies how to speak with confidence, authority, authenticity, and impact. It is lovely to have you here. Thank you. And today I'm answering another community question. And this question, it's a good one. It says, how to best end a talk. Do I leave one message or three messages or something else altogether? How do I tie it all together? And then a follow-up to that is, what I really want the most is how to structure the ending so it feels like the beginning of a relationship with my audience instead of something that just ends when I finish talking. Oh, good grief. I love this question. So let's get into it. Now, what I always say, and I was pausing because I feel like I say this a lot, but you know what? You can't say anything too much. Begin with the end in mind. When you are planning a talk, whether it's a reel, whether it's a stand and deliver talk, whether it's a couple of minutes introduction at a local BNI or another networking event, or whether it's an online workshop that's going to run for an hour, begin with the end in mind. What do you want your audience to think, to feel, to do at the end? And going back to that question of, I want this to feel like the beginning of the relationship, not the end. If this is part of a sales process or a marketing process, if it's designed to bring people into your world, what's the desired call to action? Now, we'll talk more about this in a second, but think about what is the natural next step for your audience. So if this is the first time they've heard you speak, well, what's the natural next thing for them to do? How do you nudge them closer into your world, or how do you invite them closer into your world? When you're clear on that, that really helps then with a powerful close. So I'm going to come back to that in a second, because I want you to imagine you've just delivered your presentation. It's gone really well, or maybe it hasn't gone really well, but that doesn't matter because it's your ending. It's your ending that counts almost more than anything else, to be perfectly honest, because it's the thing that your audience will remember the most. It's the end. It's the end. And so it's what they'll remember most. So even if it's bombed, you can still make it up in your close. So one of the things that I teach in my Impactful Presenters program is Structures for Impact. And there's an entire lesson on powerful closes. One of the things that I say in your powerful close is that you want to recap your key messages. Now, the questioner, I think it was Lisa, actually kind of hinted at this. Do I give three messages? Do I give one? All that kind of jazz. Well, that's all covered in Structures for Impact. And it's also, I've touched on it in another episode 30, a speaking structure that works every time. So you're not using your close to deliver your key messages. But whatever key messages you have delivered, and the number of how many you should have is in that other episode, you want to recap them. You just want to remind your audience of what you've just covered at a really high level, verbal subheading kind of way. So just to recap, once you've recapped, then you can move to your call to action. So this goes back to what I was saying before. What is it that you want them to do next? Now, if you're using this talk, this webinar, this thing as a marketing exercise and you want to bring people in, what is it? Is it an ebook that gives them more tips? Is it a playlist of your top podcast episodes? Is it an event that you're running? Is it a paid process? What is it? Now, here's the thing. Your call to action at the end of a talk needs to be really simple. You don't have unless we're talking about a sales webinar, that's a completely different topic. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about here. But if it was a straightforward talk and you now want to invite them into your world, whatever you're offering them needs to be really simple to understand, because you don't have the opportunity to go through all of the bells and whistles, all of the benefits. So, do you want them on your mailing list? Okay, so what's the freebie that you're offering them in exchange? What's the value of giving them that? And what's the easiest way that you can facilitate that while you're still talking? So what I often do at those kind of speaking engagements is as I start wrapping up, I'll put a slide up with my QR code. And I will say, if you would like a curated list of my top podcast episodes so that you can get started, scan here. Or if you would like to grab my copy of How to Stop Rambling ebook, scan here. So they're doing that while I'm talking about other things. Basically, while I'm riffing and giving them time to do it. It's got to be simple. It's got to be straightforward. And ideally, it needs to be done while you're still on stage. Now, if it can't be done while you're still on stage, if you want people to buy your book or whatever, then it's a really simple instruction. I have copies of my book for sale. I'll be at the back of the room in the next break. I'll see you there. Whatever it is. Any call to action that is complicated, has too many steps, that requires people to do something later, that requires people to remember to go to your website when they're next in front of their big screen computer, it ain't going to work. So make sure your call to action is really simple. It's a no-brainer next step from what you've just been talking about, like it's a bridge to what you want them. It's a bridge from what you've just finished talking about to the next skill, the next elevation, the next part of your offer. And it's easy for them to action while you're still talking. Okay, so that's your call to action part. Then I like to close with a quote, or a meaningful statement, something not necessarily tweetable or memeable, but they're also good if you can come up with something like that. But something that really wraps up everything that you've just talked about and leaves them feeling, the visual that I've got is leaves them feeling oomph, like it was good. Like there's a sense of, yeah, that's that. I believe in that. I get that. I agree with that. Whether that's a quote of somebody else's, whether it's yours, doesn't matter. You just want a powerful closing statement that wraps it all up. Because what happens often is that we get to the end and we realize that we don't know what we're doing now. And so we kind of go, okay, well, that's all I have to say. So thanks. I'll see you next time. All right, bye. And it's a really weak ending. So when you have that really powerful close after your call to action, after the freebie, after the sign up, whatever it is, you close powerfully. Now, what happens if there's a Q&A segment, if there's a question and answer segment? You want to do that before you deliver that powerful closing statement. Now, this can be a little bit tricky sometimes when it's not your event. If the MC steps in and says, "Well, we've got some time for questions. Kat, are you able to handle some questions?" Of course, you're going to say yes. Now, if you haven't checked that out with your MC beforehand and it's kind of caught you by surprise, then what you want to do is you want to go back in your slides to whatever the download is. So your QR code's sitting up behind you while you're answering questions. And then you want to repeat your closing statement after all of the questions are done. You almost want to wrestle back control of the stage from the MC to wrap up. Now, as you're listening and you're thinking, "Oh, but I could never do that." Yes, you could. Once the questions are finished, and once the MC says, "Thanks, I really appreciate those answers," you just say, "Thank you, Molly." And just to reiterate, blah, 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 blah. Deliver your closing statement, wait for the applause, and then you head off stage. And the MC gets to take it back. When you are finishing your talk, you want to finish it. You want to wrap it up. You want to tie the bow, if you like, and wrap it all up. It's yours. And you want to be in control right to the very end of how your audience is remembering you, how you're finishing that conversation with your audience. Now, again, I want to come back to this part in the question around, well, I want this to feel like it's the beginning of a relationship. We've talked a bit about the call to action. You want to be clear in your mind what is the natural next step from your user's customer journey perspective. For example, if I've just spent 45 minutes talking to an audience about managing imposter syndrome, it doesn't make sense for me to offer them my How to Stop Rambling ebook. Like that's a jarring effect, and it's not a natural next step. Instead, what I do is I offer them my low-cost elevator pitch planning session. They jump on that. It's like, oh my goodness, yes, please. So you want to be, as you're thinking about what you want them to do next, you want to make sure that is the natural next step in their customer journey. If you want some help with that, just reach out to me on Instagram and I'm really happy to give you a couple of ideas. Whew. I feel like that was a lot. Maybe it was because I was getting very excited. I love speaking as a marketing exercise, and I love using speaking opportunities as a way to bring people into my world. It's powerful. It lets you connect with your audience. It lets your audience connect with you. And the people who do take that next step, they want what you've got because they've just heard you. Like they're ready for more. They are ready for more because they've just heard you. It's such a powerful marketing opportunity. So, as I mentioned, I will pop the link to the speaking structure that works every time episode into the show notes so you can hear how many messages I suggest you should have in the middle of any presentation. As I wrap up, just a reminder about the upcoming Goldilocks Effect workshop, where you'll learn how to say not too little, not too much, but just the right amount to land your message with impact. It's happening on the 30th of July. It costs $67 and it's happening 12:30 to 1:45 Australian Eastern Standard Time. The link, it's in the show notes. And finally, if you have a question that you would like me to answer on this podcast, head over to Instagram and ask. Literally ask. I love nothing more than answering listener questions on this podcast. One, it helps me come up with good ideas, but two, I just work better. Work better when I have real questions. I don't know what's in my head until somebody asks me the question. So head over to Instagram and just ask away. That's Kat Matson, CATMAT SON. And of course, the link for that is also in the show notes. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you again next week for another episode of Speaking with Confidence. Until then, here's to confidence and here's to impact. I'll see you soon.